My name is Davo Hardy. I'm a film director. I have a new feature film called Hunting for Shadows. It's a adventure horror based on mythology of Indigenous Dreamtime stories. And it was inspired by me being out in a camp setting, thinking, wouldn't it be just great if this place was attacked in the night by some horrible creature? And then I took that idea from the perspective of a young girl and how she would come through that situation with a lot less life skill and resource, and how that story would play out. So putting these two things together turned into quite a compelling script. There aren't a lot of features which I've come across which are based on mythology, which is from Australian Indigenous Dreamtime stories. A lot of Australian film about the Indigenous culture is often about the Solemn generation, about current day politics, about Sorry Day and all this other stuff. So I thought, well, I want to bring something new to the Australian film, which was not necessarily from my perspective of a culture, but was still based in some truth, which I could draw from. We had the place for it to be shot, so I knew the setting and the angles I wanted and what was available to me. But when I put the finished script out to casting agents, I got a call back from Paul Mercurio, and when he said, "I want to do a role in this," well, I thought, well, that's a bit of fire under us. So that really got the production going pretty fast. It was one of those synchronistic moments where I just mentioned in passing to one person who knew somebody. When the question came to me, would you want to work with Paul Mercurio? I said, well, sure, if I could afford him. And then I was surprised by their response saying, well, name your price. When I first spoke to Paul Mercurio, he, of course, was sussing me out over the phone, seeing where I was at, what my intentions were, and what my level of expertise was. So once he saw that I was legit and the film was legit, we were able to speak very candidly to each other. And I just said, I actually don't have that great a budget. This is what it was. And I thought, well, I would probably need you for a day or two. And of course, he lived interstate from us. And he said, if you can cover my airfare from Victoria to New South Wales and a day fee, which I think the TV day fee is about $1,000-ish per day, then that would be his fee. So it was about $2,500 for his role in it, and that was a substantial part of the film's finance, but it was an investment upon the film. Hunting for Shadows was primarily funded off residuals from my last film, The Lies We Lead. So the money that film made went into this one, and that's the chain reaction, the snowballing which I'm trying to create, is that one film leads into another, Also in my last film, The Lies We Lead, there were about 6 characters for children. One of the most talented was Sage Machette, who was about 10 years old at the time, and I just thought, she's so professional, she's so talented, I want to almost custom make something for her in the future. And so when I was writing the role of Ellen for Hunting for Shadows, I had her in mind from day one. And it wasn't until I finished the script that I actually let her know about it and let her read it, and she said it was going to be a huge challenge, which it was. It was a big challenge for an 11-year-old girl to make this role. There was so much rawness in her performance and her ability to have these really heavy emotions. So her character's always in fear. She's always coming across these nightmares in the bush. So she's having to bring up this vulnerability every day on set. There wasn't as much backstory for the role of Tali, for example, but that one day which we were by the river there, we had the farmer across the way, we had everyone there, we just couldn't do anything which involved dialogue. So it was quite a hot day in mid-March, and they were all in the river there. And when I saw the chemistry between the extras and the lady playing Tali, Sage Godre, it was interesting. So I thought, I'm going to work with that and turn it into its own subplot, which it became. And that gave her character a lot more depth and a lot more stakes within her performance. But also, it gave the story a bit of a different arc, in that it's not just about a young girl anymore, it's actually about people and various characters and their various responses to what's happening to them. So that was not actually written in the script, that just happened on the production of the film. As a filmmaker, the flexibility of seeing more come out of the story and out of the characters than you were planning is always a great experience. But then to capture it and to work with it and to build it up while already having a script to work from and a story to tell was a good challenge. The crew I had for The Lives We Lead I wasn't able to get for this film, so I had been wanting to assemble one crew and work with them for each project I did. It wasn't a completely uphill battle, but again it was the right people, the right time, and the availability. Looking back on it now, I've got the best crew I could have asked for, but in the early stages when you're around new people you haven't worked with before, it can be very daunting. Some of the biggest challenges for Hunting for Shadows was the majority of the film takes place in the wilderness, in the bush. There's actually not a lot of pristine, untouched, middle of nowhere bush around Sydney. The location of the camping ground was across the river from a farm. And halfway through a shooting day, the farmer, unbeknownst to us, wanted to do a whole day of tractoring. And we just couldn't have any sound that day because he had a full field to plough, and it was just very, very loud. There was weather, of course, because it's all outside, and we were looking to do the whole film in about 2 or 3 weeks consecutively. Because of these problems, it was pushed back and back and back. We actually shot the whole film over 2 months then, and that was over a seasonal change. So the light's a bit different, the foliage is a bit different, and it's keeping all this in a continuity, which is going to be another challenge in itself. That's all on top of the regular problems that come with making a film, just people's personalities, people's availability, and getting surprises with performances which you weren't expecting, and then having to keep those going with new scenes later on which are rewritten in or which are changed and so on. It was all a challenge, but all very worth it. With Hunting for Shadows, we have one more week to go. We actually have one major shooting day, which is the wrap day for Ellen and most of the other cast, and then a second unit, which is all those cutaways to the bushland and the surrounds. Within that time, it will then be wrapped, and we then go into post-production and all the editing and so on for that. The hardest part, I would say, touch wood, is done. It's certainly a passion project, but I've always enjoyed post-production and editing, so it's a daunting thing to do. It always is when you sit with all the pieces of a feature film and you think, you've got to get started on putting them all together. It always begins as a wall of work to do. But when you enjoy it as much as I do, it does just somewhat happen. A lot of it is intuition and instinct and just effort. When that all comes together and a film is made, it can be so rewarding and so fulfilling. So I'm looking forward to that as much as I was looking forward to shooting it back in the day.